I'm here with Bobby Atkins, and this is the veteran edition of Real Estate Jerky. Sorry,
Yes.
I do so many things. Sometimes I forget where I'm at.
That's all right, man. I forgive you.
Well, no, we just wanted to focus more on VA stuff since we're both veterans. We both love helping vets. I am in the middle of writing my book just for veterans, which is going to be a VA edition of my book. And
Cool.
As I'm writing, I'm thinking, why don't I just do an Audible? Forget the book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Give free downloads. Anyway, I'll figure it out. Anyway, so we really focus on what about, we talk about everything, but really with a focus on for vets. One thing we were talking about ahead of time is what we should talk about. One of them, we're talking about how you can get an VA offer accepted, even if there needs to be work on a property these days.
Yeah.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah. So there's a colleague of mine in my office that had a listing, and it was a house that was inherited, right? So the person selling, the trustee selling it, had never lived in the house, and there was quite a bit of work to be done. So we're talking, I would imagine an investor would have jumped on it first before someone else, but this person wrote a VA offer and got it accepted, and the successor trustee is having to pay for the work because it needs like new bathroom floor.
Is it bad, like ripped up, or you step on it and you fall through it?
No, it's a slab floor, but there was water that was leaking out of the toilet that ruined like the linoleum. And then one of the bedrooms didn't have carpet in it. So like things that had to be done for VA. So yeah.
Well, it's really health and safety. That would have to be done for FHA also.
True.
And conventional, it would, if the appraiser came in there and there was no carpet in the bedroom, they would call for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other, if it's health and safety, it's a slab floor, you're not going to fall through the floor when you sit on the toilet. But not everything. It depends on the type of loan and how much down you have to worry about. I had a property that just came out, had an extra kitchen in a den. And a lot of places were like, well, this needs to go back to the city, blah, blah, blah. No, the appraiser gave it no value. So you don't have to do all that. It was such a low. Sometimes different companies will put on their additional requirements on top of what VA wants or FHA wants or conventional. And that's what you have to be careful. Some of those companies are still out there. Most of us don't. We just go by what exactly VA, FHA wants. Like I'm doing we talked about this before because you're doing that budgeting class where, you might have to go a manual underwrite, and there's only a few companies do it. I'm doing a VA right now, manual underwrite, because it's under a 580 FICO score, which is going to get done, but you just have to cross the T's and dot the I's. And the guy understands that he's going to have to do a lot to get this one done.
Yeah. Right? I can say, because normally you can just do
automated
underwriting, right? And that's back, like how long does the automated underwriting take?
Automated underwriting, it's basically you just put it in the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and get a DULP in seconds.
Yeah.
Where with this, you have to make sure there are 3 compensating factors. Why is the FICO score there? Well, he had a old debt. He's a vet. He was disabled, but he was not getting his comp from the VA yet. So it took him a while to get it. And that's why he got behind on a few things and where he's at. And that's the question. How can you afford it now when you're paying so much more? Well, now I have my money from the VA. I didn't have it before. Yeah. So, and that's a big thing right now. I don't know if you've seen this, but you're not on TikTok but there's a lot of companies pushing to help vets get their benefits. And there's a lot of good ones, but be careful. There's some other ones out there too, just like lending.
Like I say, I've gotten 2 mailers in the last, I guess, once a month, 2 months, about applying for disability and stuff like that. It's like, well, I'm not disabled. There's nothing.
It doesn't matter. You go back through and you look at your medical record, everything. Like myself, I'm going back through. Even though I have a small one, because then I don't pay my funding fee, but I'm going to up mine because there's stuff that they didn't give me because it wasn't thought of at that time that way. Now it is. Yeah. So you can go back. The biggest thing they can't find out for, VA is if you have hearing, they can figure that out problems, right? I have bad hearing. No, you don't. But they can't find out, if you have ringing in the ears,
tinnitus.
Yeah. So that's why I tell everybody put that on there, because you'll get something, because they can't disprove that. You're on the carrier, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I worked around aircraft for 5 years.
And so with you got that sound, you could around the fuel, potentially around the fire stuff that they put out on the ships to stop the fires.
Oh yeah. The AFFF.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you need to put in for that stuff.
Hey, the one I'm most concerned about is the anthrax vaccines they gave us, man.
Yeah, they're not worried about that. I'm just saying your stuff that you should put in for it because you never know everything. I mean, sleep at. I know a guy who got sleep apnea while he was in. He's 50%.
No kidding.
Yeah, he didn't have it. They found out he had it while he was in. He's had it his whole life, but while they diagnosed him while he was in, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Like, there's 300 guys in a berthing, and like, hey, that guy stops breathing every 20 seconds.
No, he just snores too loud. But back to VA loans. But I'm just saying, go apply for, get your benefits. If you can't get help, find a good company. And that's what I'm actually going through a couple different ones to see if they're good. And then I'll let you know, because right now I'm putting together a whole Helping the Brave, everything, a website, everything, go through all the people we found out over the last couple of years that actually work. We're going to put together a fire walking for veterans. Basically, you walk the fire just like, Anthony Robbins has you do, and you come out the other side a totally different person. From what I'm hearing, it changes your life. And so there's a guy who puts this all together, and he put it together for Anthony Robbins forever, and then Google and everybody else, NASA and everything. And now he wants to do it for vets. And so we just got to cover his costs, nothing else. So, and I don't mean like costs where he makes money, costs just the other people, because you got to have a whole staff for this.
Yeah.
And it has to be done at night. And I asked him, why does that have to be done at night? So I can see the colors of the coals.
Gotcha. Make sure it's not
too hot.
Not going to set you on fire.
Yeah. My feet just burned off. Yeah. But he also does glass, walking on glass. He says for most people, that's the most scariest, is walking on glass.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Well, it's just the windshield glass. I'm just kidding. I don't have no idea what it is. But he did that for Google and NASA because, they wanted it during the day. He's like, I can't do it during the day because of, I can't see. He didn't tell them why, but he told me why. It was on a podcast.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, it's amazing stuff. And I want to do it here locally and then move on. So that's my whole purpose of getting the Helping the Brave together. And one of the things on Helping the Brave, I want to put together agents and loan officers who will work with vets in certain areas and, and actually do a good job. I'm not looking to make money off it. I just want to make sure that they're covered because I don't like what happens when they go online.
Now that's Loan Squad, right? That
I'm talking about just the Helping the Brave.
Gotcha.
Because the podcast I've been doing Helping the Brave forever. And then, but I've not, now we're going to actually build out the website part of it, where you can go to find out information. Loan Squad is my company that just does VA loans.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's something totally different. This is a whole, like you have your,
VA home buyers.
Facebook group.
Yeah.
This is kind of more than that. It's something I've wanted to put together, but it just haven't had everything in place. And now we finally are.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's because it's a great name, Helping the Brave, and I want to do the fire walking underneath that, Helping the Brave, because basically that's what we are. We're brave. We're not heroes. We don't think of ourselves as heroes.
No. Gosh, no.
Yeah. You go over there, you do what we do. That's not something a hero would do, but brave people would to save this country. Now we almost stand up. I'm just kidding. Don't need that coming back to haunt me. I didn't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to VA loans. So so you a couple times, in the past, you're able to work with the seller. You come in because I bought a house from somebody for my first time I used my VA, and the appraiser came in and the eaves were flaking the paint, which was really not the paint. It was really just the board that was used. It was OSB. You said
OSB,
it was? Yeah. And over time it wasn't taken care of well. And so I had to go underneath and knock all that off and prime it. And then there was the carpets and everything else was horrible. I ripped them out, and the appraiser came through and said, this needs to have flooring. But the positive thing is, I'm like, do I need to have them installed? He's like, no, just have them here. So I had it delivered. He took a picture, he saw it and he sent it in saying it was all good to go.
Cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, they'll work with you. Just it's all about the seller working with you. Every agent understanding that a VA offer is one of the best offers out there because it's guaranteed. I mean, if we get an automated underwrite, there's no reason that it's not going to go through.
Yeah.
And a manual underwrite, maybe a 10% chance that it's not going to go through if the loan officer does their job.
Yeah.
From the beginning. Yeah. So, I mean, it's the only time they don't go through is if they go, I don't like my payment. And that's the other thing I would tell people is make sure when you're accepting offers that it has a current date on it, like in the last week.
Yeah, with how much rates are just kind of fluctuating.
Just where they're at, so people understand, because they've had 17% of the contracts cancel in the last 6 months. On average.
That does seem like a due diligence issue, right? Where like you should know, especially as a buyer, like when you're submitting an offer, I talked to my loan officer today and I know what my payment would be. Right.
And that's one thing that they should. I know it's hard sometimes because there was some weeks there that we were like, and then all of a sudden 3 days later we were different, right? That's just majorly different to where people like, oh, or some people knew their payment was that, but didn't really freak them out until they saw it in black and white on the offer they accepted. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, before I even present offers to like one of my sellers, I'll call all the loan officers, with the pre-approvals and just be like, hey, tell me a little bit about your client. Are they good for this? Do they have the closing costs, or are they trying to save them in the next 30 days?
Yeah, but Bobby, nobody's going to tell you the truth.
I've had success so far, man.
I know, but has everybody said, oh no, this guy doesn't have his money together. We're trying to get it together in the next 30 days.
I had one tell me, well, we'll be there.
Well, the one thing that's nice about VA is if you're getting money from the seller for closing costs, they don't actually have to have any money down. They don't have to have a dime into the transaction. I've had it where they get their EMD back, earnest money deposit back. They put down $1,500 and they get it back at the end, or whatever that number is. But you should have some amount, and not all veterans don't have money. Most veterans do, but there are some who, again, like the guy I was telling you about, that is the manual underwrite we're doing. He doesn't have a lot of money, but he lives in Modesto, but he's buying up in Tuolumne, and he's buying where it's like off grid. Oh, that's the other thing. People don't realize this. I can do off grid VA.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. As long as it's same for the neighborhood, meaning that if you're in a neighborhood where everybody's off grid, meaning because there's no power lines there, there's none of that stuff, and everybody's on solar, well, septic, all that stuff, that's not a big deal. I've done multiple VAs that way.
Cool. Good to know.
Yeah. So that's what he's buying off grid. He's next thing he's going to use a good banjo.
He's like, I'm out. I probably get a lot of snow up there though, huh?
No, it's Twainhart.
Oh, Twainhart. Okay.
Yeah. There's a part of Twainhart that's like you take a dirt road that takes you like 30 minutes to go through for like 15 miles because you can't go fast over it, right? It's 25. It's like when I go kayaking to the certain lake that we go to that not everybody knows about, and it takes you a while to get down. It's not that far away, but because of the you have to go 25 miles an hour down the road that you're getting there, and that takes you a lot longer at 25 miles an hour than it does at 50 miles an hour.
Twainhart, is that where Lions Lake is also?
Lions is above Twainhart, yes.
Oh, okay.
Lions Reservoir is what they call it. Lions Reservoir was put there by PG&E, and that's why you can't swim in it. Supposedly they oversee it. But what's so sad about that is you can just go to the very top of the lake where the river comes in. You can get in the river, but you can't get in the lake. Figure that one out. I was in the river that took me into the lake.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. All right, back to VA. So what we talked about is in this time, you can actually work with people potentially. I know in Tuolumne County, they're working with people. So if you want a good deal, take vets up there. I'm not saying they can't get a good deal down here. I'm just saying I know that they're at that point where we were, 3 months, 4 months ago, where they were, hey, here's some money for closing costs. Here's some money for that. The new builders are paying for you to buy your rate down. They're doing all that stuff, and they're having everybody do that. So that's why a lot of the builders are sold out. They don't have much because of that kind of stuff. That's how they're moving their inventory.
Gotcha.
Because right now people are nervous at 7% interest rates.
Yeah,
it's all relative.
It's relative. It's not what we've been used to the last couple of years, but things are changing. And I think there's a lot of buyers out there that have written themselves off as not being qualified for this market. And I think they just need to give you a call and confirm, man, because I think a lot of times people are surprised, and like you said, houses aren't moving as quick. So if sellers are in a pinch, they're going to be willing to negotiate.
Well, and the other thing is so I have an average nationwide what the loan amounts are on the new homes. It is we increased to 398,000, which seems like it would be a lot more than that, but it's not. So that's the average loan on new home sales.
But that's nationwide.
Yeah. It's probably the same here, depending on where you're buying and who's buying it, But I mean, our average number. So, I mean, and we talked about this before. Maybe you do something differently. You rent a room out to somebody for a while you live there, convert the garage into ADU, do something,
Yeah. I think the cash cow that was Airbnb is because I think that market's become oversaturated. So yeah, renting out a room is good, right?
Not a house.
Yeah, not having like an investment property as Airbnb.
No, that is at the point where they're, because a lot of places that came in and said we don't want them here. New York's one of them. You have to get them approved. There's like 50,000 of them. They're saying like 20,000 are going to go on the market because people can't afford. They can't afford to keep them there because people. And again, with how inflation is and everything right now and costs, people aren't going to be traveling as much going forward. So that whole Airbnb, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, finding a travel nurse or somebody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Find a way to do it, or find a family member you hate that you want to live with. I'm just saying, find a way, because you only have to get through these high payments for a couple of years. And I'm saying a couple of years. It could be less than that, but I don't want to say, well, you said 6 months to 12 months, and now I'm stuck in this payment. I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
So there's just, you have to look at long term. This is still the best time to buy. Values aren't going to go down. They're going to continue to go up because there's limited inventory. I mean, if we look at the numbers, I don't think I even said the inventory. Last week, nationwide, we're set like 750,000 properties short nationwide than what we normally are at the same time.
Yeah.
Where's the bubble?
Well, that's the whole thing. It's basic supply and demand, right?
Mm-hmm.
We still have plenty of demand, no supply.
Right. And we're going to have a lack of supply for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's nothing, and we got to build them.
I know people are hopeful that this market's just going to fall apart, but it's not the reality. So don't wait around for that. Ever since COVID hit, people have been waiting for the foreclosure wave to come.
Right. And there is none. They're being picked up. Right. So the problem right now is why there's the issue with going forward building homes is the high construction costs. There's not a lot of construction workers. There's the big thing right there. Yeah. Construction workers, the lack of buildable lots, shortages of distribution transformers.
Really?
Yes. They build a thing and they can't get them power to it.
No kidding. Huh?
Yeah. So we have, that's a new one for me. I'm going to look into that, and maybe I'll have it by the next show. But we add in their rates to all that. It's a perfect storm not to build.
Yeah. I mean, being a developer is risky, right? Because it takes so many years once you submit a plan to get approval and start breaking ground, and then now the market's changed.
Yeah, that's only in California. In other states, it's faster than that. So within a year and a half.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's just here we're messed up.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. I'm good for today. You good for the day?
Yeah.
All right. And we hope we answered some of your questions. We'll, submit any VA questions you have to us, and we'll actually talk about it on our next time. All right. Thanks for being here, Bobby. Thanks for watching.